The Chamber of Commerce Games Committee podcast, Game on Silicon Valley, connecting community, commerce, and competition.
This show is powered by the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, the regional chamber of commerce where business, innovation, and community come together to build this region.
For over a century, the Chamber has been the center of Silicon Valley's growth, connecting leaders, supporting small businesses, advocating for better policies, and driving the ideas that move our economy forward. And with the world's biggest events being hosted in our own backyard, they're making sure Silicon Valley doesn't just show up, we lead, we shine, and we create a thriving Silicon Valley for all.
I'm Jan-Eric Nordmo, co-host and co-chair of the Games Committee, and I'm here with my beautiful friend, my gorgeous assistant. No, I'm just kidding. Chris Dangerfield, also known as the gentleman of the game.
That's what you call me, and I'm Chris Dangerfield. I have played professional soccer for over 17 years. Ended up here in San Jose and proudly working with the San Jose Earthquakes on their broadcast for NBC Sports. And very happy to be here with you today, Herbia. A very important person, being the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Jan, over to you.
Today we start with leadership, right? We were looking at the people that helped shape this region and that are leading this whole environment, Bay Area, Silicon Valley, onto the global stage. And Chris, would you like to?
Me.
Yeah, back to you. That's what it says right there.
So this is Herbia. She's a very important person, She's the CEO of the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, and obviously we had to begin somewhere. And so when did it become apparent to you that it was important to take the commerce from just being somebody that hosted meetings and committees and really thought there was an opportunity to take it to a bigger space?
So I think more recently over the past few years, and I think even after I met Jan, sports kind of started coming back into my life. And me and Jan actually worked on a joint project that I did for COVID, which was the Community Coalition, in which I couldn't help but solve problems. And the biggest problem at that time was shortage of PPE. And I needed a place to build stuff. And I said, look, Jan, you have this amazing space. And he's like, hey, use it. And I went in there to build face shields. And boy, did I discover something more. It was his indoor soccer, right? Off the wall indoor soccer. And it just started getting me, I think, looking back now, more and more exposed than I had been for a long time. Of course, you watched games. Of course, we all watch football. We watch soccer. I mean, you just hear about it. But I think since then, I've seen more and more of that happening. And more than that, afterwards was seeing Levi Stadium have more sporting events from other places like soccer and such. So I think my attention started kind of the flags and the things are coming up. But more than that, I guess, was knowing in 2016 when Super Bowl came that we made so little out of that for our local economy that it just woke me up to feel like we have to do something. And that's when we all got excited as a chamber, and that's when I did my research and thought about taking part in what Bay Area Host Company brings and our cities bring, but making sure the chamber had a role to play.
So you had a lot of experiences as a youth. You were an athlete as well, and then of course you had to. You didn't have to. You chose to come and use off-the-wall soccer. We were down. We didn't have anything going on, and you were able to take that space, and you got a little bit more inspired, recognizing all the other events that are happening in sports. And now all of a sudden you've come up with this idea, the Games Committee. And just kind of share with us, how does the Games Committee fit into business? Because it's not a traditional model that's associated with a lot of chambers.
Yeah.
And so, if you
You're very right.
Build on that a little bit, please.
I guess if we look at that journey and seeing that 2016, because that was my first experience of such a large-scale event, and to be in that proximity, volunteering for it, I was confused. Why did our region and our businesses, and including our chamber at that time, when we were the Santa Clara Chamber, really not see any, giant leaps and bounds of improvements for our small businesses, for the chamber? What I actually heard was, well, that doesn't really do anything for us. And I just couldn't make sense of why that would be the case. And when we started seeing that San Francisco specifically made 57% of the economic impact last time, all I could think about was, well, they were more organized. They thought there was a role for them to improve their businesses by bringing programming to their region. So then my question to us was, well, why not us do that for our region? And so when we looked into that further, we realized, one, nobody organized anything last time at a local level and representing the region. Number two, there was no consideration for what does that mean in the future when a program like that comes for you. And three, what did we do to get benefit from that lasted beyond that year? And that's when the Games Committee was born, you could say, that we represent businesses, we represent the local economy. So why are we waiting for somebody else to come help us? It's our responsibility to get up and do something. Barrie Host Committee goes out and works with, the cities to bring these events. But it's our job as a chamber to ensure that it benefits our region once those events are here and for the future. So as you were part of that as the co-chair, and Chris being our ambassador, clear objective: promote Silicon Valley, create local impact, and bring Silicon Valley to the world and the world to Silicon Valley, so they keep coming back here again and again.
So the competitions are connecting the community, connecting commerce, and this is kind of like the driver. This is the vehicle now that's a distinct part of the chamber as it moves forward. So this isn't just a one-off initiative, right? We've had the experience now with the Super Bowl, looking in the rearview mirror, and now looking down the road, we've got the World Cup, and perhaps, and I know there's more games coming, more activities. So these competitions are really driving commerce and, again, connecting back to the community. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And can I just add something you said there, that we were kind of surprised ourselves that the commerce element, we take for granted as, hey, it just happens. Actually, it doesn't. If we don't bring foot traffic to a business, they're not going to get revenue. And then when the revenue doesn't come in, the taxes don't come in. And without those taxes, you don't have funds for our general funds of, for the cities, which then bring funding back into the cities for sports, for youth development, and future programs. So it's a complete cycle, right? And so that seemingly very obvious thing isn't so obvious, but this is the way we bring foot traffic to our businesses.
So what I'm hearing is that although Santa Clara is hosting these massive events, in the past, San Francisco is getting more of the benefit of Santa Clara hosting those events. So going forward, or actually not going forward, going now, what can the local businesses do to start participating in the biggest event in the world, which is coming to Levi Stadium, Santa Clara, in about 50 days' time?
Yeah.
The FIFA World Cup 2026. Massive attendance globally for people coming in from all over the world. How can the local Santa Clara businesses take advantage of that right now?
Great question. Everybody thinks that everybody's going to fit in the stadium. There are only 70,000 seats in the stadium. So the event isn't really just about what's in the stadium. It's actually more about what's outside the stadium, right? And when we remember that, then we start looking at, as a business, or our job is to give them ideas as, whoa, people are coming here. What do they want to do? It could be that I want to watch party at my favorite pub. It could be that I want to meet locals who are celebrating just like me, and I might go to a restaurant, or I might go to a block party. I might go to a kids celebration. But those small things, actually, when they compile together, become a giant attraction. Secondly, you think about what Silicon Valley has to offer. We have great experiences, from outdoors to culture to food to innovation, museums. Really, Silicon Valley is probably one of the most unique places in the world to hold events like the FIFA World Cup, right? I mean, you could go for a hot pot tour if you wanted to, right? So why do people think, well, I am a Asian restaurant, and why would anybody want to come here? Because they want to experience all that Silicon Valley has to offer. We want hot pot, restaurants to come up and work together to build a hot pot, food tour. Why don't we have the best enchilada tour, right? Why not go and say, where are the best cult beers in Silicon Valley? There's so many ways.
Chris, you could probably answer that question.
I'll answer that one for you. I know where the beers are.
You do, right?
Yeah,
Not
I
in
think
her
so,
beer,
yeah.
but in the bars.
Britannia Arms Capitola. That's a plug for my buddy Andy. There it is.
Are they one of our sponsors here yet?
They are now.
Well, we talked about Alaska perhaps coming in.
Oh,
see about
maybe.
So just kind of looking forward at the podcast. We've got several episodes slated already, and we've got some interesting speakers. You're aware of those speakers. What is it that you want those that are watching today? Why should they come back and look at some future episodes? What do you think?
So, as I was saying earlier about what we want you to do is we want you to fall in love with Silicon Valley. And to fall in love with Silicon Valley, you have to know there are champions and legends all here. And many of those champions and legends are going to be joining this podcast. We want you to honor our past and our legacy. We want you to celebrate the amazing things that are happening now. And we want you to return to build an amazing future. That includes AI. That includes innovation. That includes amazing wine tours. That includes the new food experiences that are integrating tech and culture and food together. So we think this podcast is a reflection of what Silicon Valley has to offer. It is innovation, it's culture, and where the world comes to play.
And it's not just business people, it's not just community. We are going to be driving this as well toward really getting specific in soccer. Chris's connections and connecting people that are not just business people, but fans of the game, coaches, young players, former athletes. We're going to have both male and female athletes, coaches that have been in the World Cup. This is going to be a really enlightening experience that's going to connect innovation. It's going to connect the history of the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. It's also going to safeguard what we have going on today and with a very forward-looking eye. And so we're going to have a lot of fun inside this experience. And Chris is going to be able to share perhaps some of his playing experiences, and I'll share a little my experience of watching him through that little hole in the fence where I couldn't really afford to get in to see the games and all that sort of experience, which is very cool. So
you're bringing me more to the games. I got to tell you, since we started this, I have become more and more interested in learning about, the different teams, the different kind of sports out there. I'm willing to even go to a local, volleyball and soccer match or whatever. I'm like, just let me watch. I'm just so excited. But, why wasn't that happening before? Maybe we didn't have the opportunity to bring people like you guys together and showcase it's not just something that happens on the side. There's so much more that goes into it and how everybody benefits.
Well, I think events bring people together. I think the 94 World Cup was massive for the game of our soccer throughout the United States. It was just another validation of the growth of the game in America. And it was received so well, made so much money for FIFA, mm-hmm. And also gave a good exposure to the infrastructure the U.S. had to hold a successful tournament as big as the World Cup. And now we're going to do it again in 2026. It's going to be bigger and greater and grander. Locally here, there's going to be some exciting contests. But more than that, it's going to be something that America's going to be turning on the TV every week and seeing the best athletes, soccer athletes in the world competing. And so from that perspective, I think it's going to be a very exciting summer. It's great that the Chamber and yourself see the value of the game and how it can migrate itself into the local businesses. Mm-hmm. Can you share some ideas of what successes you're seeing already locally with businesses that already is happening to give people an idea of where they can jump on board with these programs? I
love that. So we saw San Jose took a real lead, being that they are the largest city in Santa Clara County, took the lead this time to make sure that the week before Super Bowl, they had an event every single night. And the results showed that on the main strip, Santa Clara, I think it's Santa Clara Street, down in San Jose, the restaurant said that they had 70% increased foot traffic starting the first day of that week. Okay? Now, just imagine that's 70% more of what they normally receive. That's exactly what you want to create. But they also saw return customers because now they were introduced to it. And even people didn't come from outside. They came from Oakland. People came down from Marin, right? It's not that we're only looking at international visitors or national visitors. We're looking at the fact that we need to also raise awareness, even in the Bay Area, Southern California, what all this place has to offer. So I expect that we're going to see 2.5 times the hotel capacity. Okay, we're going to expect that our revenue for Santa Clara has also increased. We expect it's going to be at least double compared to the last time, which speaks volumes. And they couldn't hold a lot of events because they're spending their time and resources on law enforcement. So they have to, people don't realize that there's so much other things that they have to focus on to deliver a great program. But I do say that we do expect that one game or one match is going to be equivalent to the one Super Bowl, right? And we're expecting 6 games in Silicon Valley. And so I want to remind everybody, you may not know Santa Clara yet, Mountain View, Milpitas, but guess what? 15 cities make up one Silicon Valley with endless experiences, endless opportunities for watch parties, to have fan fests, to join local celebrations, all minutes away, right? So we want people to come back again and again. I do believe we have Terry Fisher coming on as one of our speakers, and he enlightened me, just as you both have, about the role 1994 the World Cup had played. If I understand correctly, before that there was very little attention to sports, especially soccer, in the Bay Area. Right?
Well, there was very little probably commercial or media exposure, but certainly there's been a lot of grassroots, myself included, Chris. Soccer has been kind of a hidden gem in many regards.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of service organizations in the Bay Area. But yeah, it's I think it's very solidified now.
Yeah.
And the World Cup certainly turned on a lot of young players that now wanted to be on the big stage. And it wasn't just the male players, right? The female players.
Yeah.
We had the Women's World Cup shortly thereafter, and a lot of great players that came out of this environment and then are now playing in the current professional league. So this is a very much growing environment, not just for the athlete, but the businesses as well. So maybe we can talk a little bit in a moment about the businesses and what businesses can do
Sure.
to get more involved. Chris, is there any other thoughts that you might have?
Going back to your comments, I would disagree, Herbie, because I think that there was great success in the 70s and 80s before the World Cup for the North American Soccer League. Locally, with San Jose Earthquakes, did very well. The attendances were there. Yes, the league, the NASL, that folded up in 1985, but that wasn't anything to do with the local community here.
Sure.
That was more of a global thing with ownerships. Yes, the World Cup had a massive effect on the game throughout the United States and put the game on the map in some respects for people outside of in different countries watching the World Cup being held here in the United States. And to be honest, I think the Women's World Cup was even a bigger story.
Yeah.
With God bless her, Brandy taking her top off. The picture
She's
for
memorable forever.
the iconic picture of all time. I love that girl. So it's one of those situations that I think that. Coming to the future now, it's just another opportunity in 2026, starting right now, for people to understand that there will be massive crowds, great opportunities, there will be watch parties, there will be things to enjoy, but also opportunities for people to take advantage of in some respects with their businesses, and hopefully they'll recognize the job that the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce has taken in that, and yourself and the CEO are doing a fantastic job, and they will appreciate Santa Clara.
I really am excited about what you just said because, we always thought before we were only going to be doing farming, right? And that was what we did as Silicon Valley. And then, we saw the tech boom happen, and then the tech burst happened, and then came back to the tech boom again. But now I think that even though we're talking about AI everywhere, I believe that sports is going to have a much more long-term role to play in our economy. and we're seeing, the new businesses and startups coming up with new programs and products and services related to sports, whether it's to educate people, whether it's to provide tools for you to have online gaming experiences, et cetera, et cetera. But it looks like we're going to see sports be front and center with all the amazing stadiums we have and the businesses that are popping up in proximity to those stadiums, right? So that speaks volumes about what the game is going to be beyond what it seemed like in sports and soccer were for the few, but now it should become the masses.
Let's leave it at that. I think
Yeah.
fantastic point to leave it.
Herbert, thank you so much for the opportunity. This is a wonderful, very unique experience, and applauds to the people of the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce for being on board with this and really putting in a lot of effort. I mean, for me, selfishly, soccer certainly is my passion, but the NFL, the Super Bowl, and we've got other sporting events coming. We've got future World Cups, Women's World Cups. We've got Gold Cup, CONCACAF.
Wow.
And you can even go to pickleball, and there's a lot of competitions. And business is really connected in many ways. And the wish of the Chamber and of the Games Committee is to connect community, commerce, and competition together.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, Chris, I'll give you one final shot to say something really relevant and important.
I think it's important that you, Herbert, being the CEO of the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, were the first guest on our podcast. It needed to be set the platform going forward. Yes, we will talk about the game going forward a little bit more, but we will also integrate other local businesses or the local technologies that will be integrated into the future of the game as well, and that's important. But I would like to thank you personally for being our first guest, and we look forward to welcoming everybody back for more future episodes of the Game on Silicon Valley.
Thank you so much. We're excited to have, bring global events to create local opportunities. Check out more on the svcc.org.
I'm Jan Eric Nordmo, co-host and co-chair. I thank you very much. It's a pleasure working with my friend, the gentleman of the game, Chris Dangerfield.